Yes, how we all doing, people? How you doing? How's Thursday going? See, that's okay. You get a few people in the building. It does say the Fury situation. Of course, we'll talk about that, but we'll talk anything boxing. You know, with these, I gotta have something as a head, so we can talk about the Fury situation, but we can talk about anything. Specifically, what I'm hoping to touch on in this live is Beterbiev Smith. That's what I want to talk about, pretty much mainly in this live. Get some chats in on Beterbiev versus Joe Smith. I want to get people's thoughts. Obviously, when we get a full, I'm thinking of something. Maybe when we get about 50, 60 in, I'll have a little, I'll have a think. But what are your thoughts on everything? How we all doing? Let the chat fill up there a little bit. 11 already locked in. Shout out, shout out. We get a few in the building, and then we talk boxing. You know how we do. And I miss doing these weekly lives. Do you know what? I miss doing them during the week. It's just I'd be so busy these days. I'm normally out with my friend on Thursday evenings anyway, as some would know, so I don't have a chance to do this. So when I get a free Thursday, think of it like this: when I get a free Thursday, what do? I go and do lives instead. And I've got some stuff planned for tomorrow, which is I think it'll be real good. Big up to Ali Drew. First as always. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. First as always. Big up to Jody. Shout out to you. Wow. Can't wait. Usyk beats Fury. Ali Drew claiming Usyk beats Fury. Let's see. Even to Ben. How are you, my friend? I hope you're all good. Peeved off Hughie Fury versus Michael Hunter was cancelled. Yeah, you know something, mate. Like, obviously, as I said, I'm going to the Fish Eyes card that day. So I was kind of like, I was peeved as well that it was off because it's a good fight. But I'm kind of glad that I'll get to watch it instead of, being at an event and then wondering. Because I've done that before. Gone to boxing shows here in Ireland when there's been a show on in the UK. I remember going to a show when Dylan White fought Rivas. And the whole time I was at that show, I was just constantly checking. You're missing out a bit because you're kind of wondering. You're trying to focus in on what's going on at the show you're at, but then you're also looking at your phone constantly, like, oh, what's happening on the other show? And like, I kind of like just being at one specific show and just enjoying it. But in terms of that fight being rescheduled, I mean, they were putting Ricky Hatton on the undercard. I mean, like, I don't think anyone's complaining about that. I just don't think. I know it's an exhibition, but really, I don't. Something about seeing these older fighters. I mean, remember Riddick Bowe was meant to do an exhibition, and thank God that got pulled. I think they wouldn't allow him to box. I mean, Riddick Bowe can barely string a sentence together. Good Lord. But in terms of Hughie Fury versus Hunter, they will reschedule that. They definitely will. It's just a case of when. I did see Michael Hunter tweet prior to this fight being cancelled that he has a 3-fight deal with Boxer and Sky. So obviously the Triller thing. I mean, I that's something that I'm interested in. What the hell has gone wrong with Triller? Because that one to me is an interesting one because they were paying these fighters, and apparently, was it Pulev didn't get paid? Both Pulevs weren't paid by Triller, and what they're putting on and the amount they're paying. I mean, people say the Zone are overpaying. Well, they are, but nothing compared to Triller. And at least with the Zone, more often than not, you're getting good fights. With Triller, you're getting these kind of side shows, freak shows. So I'd love to know what's happening with Michael Hunter. He's got to redeem himself. I'm sorry, I like Michael Hunter, but he has to. You can't go around saying you'll fight any heavyweight for free and then turn down an eliminator against Hergovich. Big up to Luke, LUFC, Luton United Football Club. Am I right there? Good evening, G-Man, and all in the chat. Big up to Colin as well. Evening all. Fury stops Usyk. You know something? I've got a video planned for tomorrow and for Saturday. It's a 2-parter. It's not a documentary, but it involved me watching a lot of Usyk and watching a lot of Joshua. And, obviously Joshua and Fury are very different. But when I'm looking at what Usyk does in there, the ring IQ Usyk has, I think we all know he's got a tremendous ring IQ. He's a tremendous fighter. He's very talented. But I think we sometimes forget his just how savvy he is in there. His ring IQ is crazy. And whilst yes, Fury can big man him, it's not going to be like people say. Like it'll be like the Steve Cunningham fight. He might have a rocky start because of the speed. It won't be. It won't be like that. I would agree that I would pick Fury to win. I don't think he'd stop him. But people saying that like Usyk just gets battered and it's not going to be. I mean, people seriously, it's going to be a hell of a fight. It's going to be a hell of a fight. G-Man, the GOAT, coming late from America, the Armenian Eagle. Oh, sorry, Armenia. The Armenian Eagle. Big up to you, man. I have a giant picture. I have a giant Usyk poster in my room. When he got the belt from AJ, I believe Usyk retires Fury on his stool. Now, there's a claim. Now, mate, that's a claim. I can't see Fury retiring on his stool for the simple reason. I don't think I think they would be able to live that down. I don't think they'd be able to. I don't think they'd do it. Fury has heart. And look, would I rule out Usyk stopping him? Of course not. Good evening, sir. I really don't like Fury's energy when it comes to Usyk. He flat out ducked him a few months back, and I honestly feel like Usyk beats him. It's a good fight, Fury and Usyk. I've said it once and I'll say it again. I don't think Fury is afraid of Usyk at all. I genuinely think that at this stage of Fury's career, he's only interested in huge money fights and fights that really get him motivated and get him up for it. I think he knows that. I think his team know that. And I think he looks at Alexander Usyk and just sees, he keeps calling him a middleweight, but he looks at Usyk and he just sees a guy coming up from cruiserweight with an awkward style who's not going to go with him at press conference or anything like that. And I get the impression that he just looks at Usyk and thinks, I can't get up for that fight. Whereas AJ, I'm telling you now, even if AJ loses to Usyk again, Fury would still be interested in that fight because he's always wanted to prove that he was the better of the two. I think that one thing that definitely he did during his comeback was look at what was happening while he was away with AJ beating Klitschko and stuff like that. And I think that deep down, Fury really wants that AJ fight. At this stage now, I pick Fury every day of the week to beat AJ. But he strikes me as someone who really wants that AJ fight. And I think that he's hoping, he might not say it, but he's hoping AJ beats Usyk because he wants that fight more than he wants Usyk. Not because he's afraid of Usyk, but because that AJ fight is just something that he wants. It really is. Just rewatch Smith versus Vlasov. Smith lost. Can't see him doing much better against Beterbiev. Yeah, you see, the Smith-Beterbiev fight's an interesting one. And yeah, you're right. And in many ways, the Vlasov fight, I mean, that Smith fight took it out of Vlasov. I would never have thought that a year later, Maxim Vlasov would be retiring on his stool and then retiring from boxing. I mean, he seemed fine in the Smith fight. So it really, like, that took it out of Vlasov, that loss. It really did, that fight. In terms of this fight, the weekend, I'm picking Beterbiev, of course. But it's an interesting one, you know. I'm kind of like, he's 37. He's going to take some shots from the guy, what's his name? Beterbiev or Joe Smith. And I reckon it's going to be a real tough fight. And bear in mind, I said it in my report last night that Callum Johnson was able to drop Beterbiev, but Johnson just froze. I mean, he just like a statue froze. He didn't know what to do. It was almost like Johnson fought that fight in many ways almost as if someone who didn't believe he was going to win. And I think when he knocked him down, it was a case of, oh, I could win this. Oh, what do I do now? And it was just, he just didn't know what to do. Joe Smith is good. If he knocks him down, he's going to finish him. Can't see how Usyk gets inside against Fury. Fury's reach if he doesn't want no inside game. There are ways that I think Usyk can get underneath Fury's jab. I mean, if you think of Usyk's ring IQ, if you look at AJ, if you look at early on, right, in that fight against AJ, when AJ would probe with that jab, Usyk would instantly read that jab. He would duck under it and he'd try and instantly push AJ on the back foot. He just literally would little feint underneath the jab, throw his out. It wasn't landing, but it was enough to offset AJ's rhythm, and he would actually reset himself and then back up. At that point, Usyk would actually move in and try and launch an attack. He was doing that from early on in that fight. Not all the attacks were landing. If you go look at the first round, right? AJ is leading with the jab straight away, first few seconds, and Usyk instantly reads that, ducks, gets his jab off. AJ resets, pushes himself on the back foot, and Usyk has a little attack, doesn't come to anything. But I'm convinced he can do something similar like that against Tyson Fury. I'm convinced he can get under Fury's jab. The speed at the end of the day of Usyk compared to your typical heavyweight, and as well as that, you could say, oh, there's shorter heavyweights out there as well. There is shorter heavyweights out there as well, but they don't have the speed of Usyk. And a lot of the shorter heavyweights aren't coming up from cruiserweight. Some of these shorter heavyweights you have there, like someone like Chisora, he's natural level. He's not going to have the speed of Usyk. You know, he's not as fleet of foot. And there are a good few short heavyweights who just don't have the attributes Usyk has. That's why I always felt the David Haye fight for Fury would have been interesting if it had happened in 2013. Because Haye is very one-dimensional when it came to fighting a big guy. But still, I think that against Fury at that stage, it would have been a very interesting one. Thoughts on Hammer versus Joyce? I mean, yeah, like, obviously I'm going to that fight. Obviously, it's not ideal. I would have preferred someone better, but what could you expect? Who the hell is he going to fight now? Because Joe Parker has gone to Sky. Can't see Warren wanting to do business with them. Who the hell is Joe Joyce going to fight now? Come what September? He's talking about big fights. I mean, who? Not sure about Usyk beating Fury. I thought before the White fight, but now I think Fury still has quite a bit left. Oh, definitely, for sure he's got a bit. Look, don't get me wrong. I will be picking Fury if he did fight Usyk, but I don't think, some people say it's one-sided. It's like, it's not a one-sided fight. Like, make no mistake about that. Ricky Fatton, I don't want eyes. It's Campbell for you. Campbell Hatton is back out in September. He's back out in September, funny enough, on Dalton Smith's card, which is good for him because I've said it once, I'll say it again, he needs to be on the smaller cards, the ones where there's not as much attention on it. Kronk Fury is unstoppable. I mean, no one's unstoppable. No one's unstoppable. But Fury, the Kronk move, see, that's one thing you got to give Fury credit for. I think he realized that he needed to change up. And that Kronk style, Fury's been able to make it work brilliantly. And he really did. He really did look into a winner. He really did come onto a winner, I should say, when he got with Kronk, when he got with Sugar Hill. Leeds United. It's Luton Town FC. It's not Leeds. When I saw Elio, I was like, Luton? Do you think a new weight could have a run at featherweight? Yes, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Next year, you'll probably see him with Super Bantam. And then it's just a case of featherweight, I think, will be a new weight's limit. I'd be very surprised if he goes up further than that. He might, but I'd be surprised. He's, 29 now? So I can't imagine. I'd say another 2 divisions is the max for him. Fury Usyk is no foregone conclusion. It certainly isn't. Certainly isn't. The way I feel when you hear Fury's name, oh man. His fans, I swear to God, some of them. Like, I like Fury as a fighter, but some of his fans, I swear. Pound for pound. Bud, Usyk, Canelo, Charlo, Haney, Taylor, Spence, Shakur, Monster, Tank. Try and change and mind your thoughts. I never really do pound for pounds, to be honest with you, mate. Like, Usyk was number 1, and if you had to ask me, I probably would put him at number 1 currently. We'll be watching the Wiseman card tomorrow. I'll be probably glancing at it because I'll be out. My friend does deliveries on Thursdays and Fridays, so I just join him. I go out with him, and what I'll do is I just go on for the company, and I'll probably just be glancing at it. I seen Josh Kelly's on that card. How much did Nathan Gorman weigh? Does anyone have the weight? Because he's on that card as well. Still looks in dire shape, but I'd like to know how much he weighs. Just a curiosity. He was in the 270s last time, I think. Fury mauls Usyk. I think he will. I think that's the best way of winning is just to big man him. Even the G-man. The truth darbs here. If Fury doesn't want to engage Usyk inside, can't see how Usyk win. Man, I'm telling you, with that speed and footwork, you can get underneath the big guy's jab. Fury's an attention seeker. Talk about retirement of 500 mil for Undisputed. Why are people paying attention to this cat? People should ignore him and let him go. There's one thing I don't think. I don't think Fury is going anywhere. Most of the hardened boxing fan believes Usyk is all wrong for Fury. Again, as I said, I would still pick Fury to win, but believe me, it's not a foregone conclusion. Fury KOs Usyk in 10. May very well. G-Man, I always wondered, how much you box back in the day? Have any amateur fights or just sparring? I've always been curious. No hate, man. Big up. So, when I first started boxing, right, I would have been roughly about 18. Because I started really learning about boxing when I was 17. And I really just played around, doing a couple of little exhibition shows at the start. Then I stopped boxing when I was about 20. And I had never planned on doing it again. Still watched it. But then I realized that one of my old coaches was opening up a new gym. Or it wasn't opening up, he was taking over a gym closer to me. So I went and trained with him for a bit. But I didn't like it. I didn't like the atmosphere in it. It didn't suit me. So I was kind of like, right, I'm done with boxing. Then, you know, you just keep coming back. Came back and started training. Officially, I was training with Crumlin, but I wasn't training in their gym. I was training in Blanchardstown. And then the Holocaust happened. And I was like, by then I was kind of falling out of love with it because I loved boxing and I loved doing the sparring, but the rest of the training just never really, I don't know. I'm just someone who prefers just going to the gym early in the morning, doing a weight session and going home. That kind of way. I like sparring and all that, but it just, I never was, like there was times I used to flip and dread going. Not because I was afraid of getting hit, but just because I just knew that training was not for me. So that's kind of the hint of how it's been. But then I kind of realized when I was helping, one of my friends actually boxed an exhibition there back in 2019 when I helped out in the corner. I was doing beers at the time. But that kind of made me realize that, like, I like the kind of corner end of it. I like the punditry end, obviously doing this. And if I can't be a boxer, this is the next best thing. Wilder, Usyk, who do you got? Usyk on points. Fury will be in loads of trouble if they meet, and Usyk has all styles. Tyson still got some in him. Oh man, it's not just that he's got loads left, but has slowed down. And Usyk is a man on a mission. He certainly is. Stefan Boom, yes, G-Man, just an Alton Tower Splash Landing Hotel. Where's the piss bottle? Boom. Always get asked that question. Every single live, someone asked me that question. Without failure, someone asked me that question. Sure, Usyk would quit. Me, oops, I'm retiring. It's defo true. I agree. Usyk has saw all styles, but what other boxer mimics Fury? You see, that's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, how do you see? It's a case of, it really is a weird one for both if you think about it. Because where are you going to find a boxer like Usyk, who does what he does as well as he does, but where are you going to find a fighter to mimic Tyson Fury? Like, it's a real kind of tricky one for both guys if you think about it in that regard. AJ has zero feint game. Yeah, that's one thing I noticed when I was rewatching him against Usyk. I remember saying in my preview for the Usyk Joshua fight that Usyk will feint at you, Joshua, to the point where AJ mentally gets fatigued. And I had so many people saying, that's crap, it's BS, that's never gonna, it happened. Like, I think some people don't understand how little finite things like that, especially when you look at AJ and you see how he is in the ring, AJ overthinks things. Before Ruiz, he was always overthinking certain things, you could see that. So when you have a fighter fainting you left, right, and center, what do you think is going to happen? I don't think AJ was overrated. I just think that there's a certain style, and I think AJ would struggle with, which was someone like Usyk, and I think Wilder would have given him fits. But I think as well as that, AJ needed to, long before the Ruiz loss, he needed to get out of the GB set up in Sheffield, get rid of Rob McCracken, and I think he needed to go to America, settle in with an American trainer over there and set himself up there. Not necessarily for his fights, but just set his camp up there. And I think AJ would have improved. I think McCracken, I mean, AJ's 32 now. And yeah, he's got a bit of extra time with Garcia. But like, not everyone is a Tyson Fury who can just change a trainer like that and adjust instantly and make the necessary changes. Not everyone is like that. It doesn't always work. Timing beats speed. True that, it does, but the speed does also help as well. Usyk is real. Fought all comers. Fury's a Mayweather knockoff, in your opinion. People were very surprised how much faster Usyk is over Fury. Way better balance and throws way more punches. Also, Usyk's coordination is phenomenal. Beats Fury on points. There we go. So Stefan is picking Tyson Fury, or sorry, he's picking Alexander Usyk to beat Tyson Fury. I think Dubois is running ahead of himself by wanting to fight White. I think at this stage in Dubois' career, it's a fight that if I was Frank Warren, I would be looking to make as well. I think that he's right. I think he's I think it's a no. I think, as Tunde Ajayi would say, timing is everything. And I think at this stage, maybe Dylan White is sufficiently worn enough for Daniel Dubois. Personally, I think that we're going to see Dylan White. He'll have a comeback fight against someone, as will Parker. And I reckon they'll both be on Sky and they'll both have a fight. They'll have the rematch. In which case, I've always said it, even before Dylan White lost to Povetkin, lost to Fury, you can go back and check it. I've always felt that Joe Parker would have won a rematch. He would have adjusted. Now with Andy Lee, I think he does that. Well, he definitely wins the rematch now, in my opinion. AJ makes everyone look better than they are. Usyk schooled AJ, but went 50-50 with Chisora. Now if AJ fought Del Boy, how would that go? Oh, again, styles make fights, man. And that's what I was saying at the time. I was like, AJ, he's never going to fight, even if he comes and charges Usyk, he's never going to be as aggressive as Chisora is and as wild as Chisora is. And if you're someone like Usyk, he adjusted very well as the fight went on, but it was obviously a tricky first couple of rounds, as it would be for most with Chisora when he's fresh. Usyk does have an inside game. Watch the Breides fight. Man can brawl. The Breides fight was good. That was a good fight. Who sets those top guys like Fury and Usyk apart is how well they can fight both inside and outside. And if you look at Usyk against people like Murat Gassiev, look at how many some of them shots were. Look at how he was able to just land the uppercuts at will. Look when he got close against Gassiev, how comfy he was. I mean, that was a schooling. And I gave Gassiev a good shot in that fight because Gassiev had been looking good in his last few fights. And Usyk just shut him down. I mean, that was beautiful to watch. It really was. Usyk just absolutely shut him down. That was at cruiserweight. 268. There you go. I mean, like Nathan Gorman has a lot of attributes. If he was in shape, would have been, he wouldn't be a world beater, but he'd be a lot better. Usyk moves like no other heavyweight. He was so busy against AJ, never stopped moving all night. Have you watched the AJ fight? Because I've watched that fight several times. The movement, there was a moment, I think it was in the first round, or it might have even been in the third round, where Usyk moved to AJ's side, and AJ was kind of like that with his hands. He was real unsure whether to throw or not. Usyk missed with a jab, but then moved again, and AJ literally was throwing like a left hook, a lead left hook for the sake of throwing it. I think even he was like, where the hell is this guy actually going to stop? And for AJ, for the fight, for any fight, not just for Anthony Joshua, when a fighter is doing that to you and hitting you and you can't hit him, not only can you not hit him, he's there 1 minute, he's there the next. Mentally, that's draining because you're like, here, where the hell are you in the ring? Stop moving. Because it's not just like you're moving back and I can see you. You're moving from here and then you're going over there and then you're coming in and you're going back and it's like, what? High tech Fury. Yeah. I know. To be expected, I suppose, to be expected. I mean, on short notice, we're 2 weeks away from that card. I wasn't expecting much, but I was kind of hoping for better. You know, that sort of way. It's like, I wasn't expecting much, but I was hoping for better. You know, it's like, you're not expecting a good meal, but then they chuck you a Big Mac, and it's like, really? G-Man, Duck and Usyk. Hammer is shot to pieces. Yeah, I mean, Hammer had that Indian summer in 2017. He got a win over Erkan Tepe. He got a win over David Price. Then he beat someone else as well. And then he survived against Povetkin and was like, this surviving thing, I'll stick with that. That's all he's done since. Obviously, got stopped by Huey Fury, stopped by Ortiz. No, I don't think he was stopped by Ortiz. But yeah, that's pretty much what Christian Hammer is doing nowadays. He's basically a journeyman. And look, high level journeyman. And yeah, Joe Joyce, see if he can stop him. I reckon he probably can. Only boxing I ever done was after the pub. There you go, man. There you go. Zero lateral movement. Easy to look good against a stationary target. His feints are nada. Yeah. And that's why he was able to land the left hand at will. AJ backing up in straight lines. His chin up in the air. No lateral movement. Hands low. Just back it up like that. And Usyk was like, thank you. I'll land that left. Oh, please no. I think Danny Williams is fighting in the next few weeks as well. I mean, that's just sad, man. That is so... Why? Tyson. G-Man got the bag. Man, I wish I had the bag, man. I'm going away for 5 days now. In 2 weeks. And I'm just thinking, crap. I've got to be careful with the money I spend between now and then. Do you like Ultra? Ultratech's alright, man. No, I've watched a good few Ultratech videos. His original channel was shut down, wasn't it? Yeah, no, Ultratech is good. With regards to boxing YouTube channels, there's a very few that I'd regularly watch. Obviously, I'd watch guys like Jamie, Tatman, Outmatch, Chris, Ade, if I didn't already mention him. But, I'd watch the odd Ultratech video, but, yeah, boxing YouTube channels, there's a good few that I'd watch, and there's some I'd watch kind of here and there, and there's other ones, as I said, like Hatman, Chris, Ade, Jamie. I just watch them guys religiously. I'm not pissed off. I'm pissed off that me and Jamie are live at the same time because I planned on doing this tonight, and I'm missing his live. Fuck, that's something I'm thinking, because Jamie's lives are always tremendous. They're always very good. I can always catch it back on the replay, which is good. Usyk movement was incredible. AJ needs to land some heavy body shots. That was one thing in that AJ fight that I was shocked he didn't do. I mean, that whole AJ, it really... My thinking going into that Usyk first fight was, Rob McCracken's been away at the Olympics. You've been training with AJ Fernandez more often. But when he fought so Rob McCracken-esque. It was unreal. And what I mean by that is typical Rob McCracken fighter. I was like, you spent most of this camp with Fernandez. Fernandez is more a boxer. You'll see Fernandez in AJ in the Povetkin fight. But he looked so McCracken-esque in there. It was crazy. Shout out to Postman Pat. Big up G-Man. Is it ever going to happen for Huey? I don't think so. Personally, I think that I'm going to be brutal. I just don't think Huey is ever going to be that good. I'm not saying he's a terrible fighter, but I don't think he's ever going to be a world beater. I don't think it's ever going to happen. G-Man, do you believe that 2 or 3 months layoff because of the Ukraine situation will affect Usyk at all? Like muscle memory? No, I don't think it will. Usyk has shown throughout his career that he's got that mindset to just switch it on. So I don't think it'll affect him too much. Could be wrong, but I think Usyk he'll be okay with that. Dubois versus AJ, whose camp will Akali be in? On the other hand, Riakporhe versus Akali, whose camp will AJ be in? In both AJ and Akali will be awkward positions if those fights happen. Yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's a weird one, right? Riakporhe is in AJ's camp now, where originally when he turned over, he was a Dylan White guy. And as I said, Dylan White, I feel he puts so much stock in when he signs these guys, how they are in sparring, as opposed to their actual skill level. Fabio Wardley's not a bad fighter, but there's definitely more potential in Riakporhe than Wardley. Whereas Babic is so fun to watch, so entertaining, but damn, he is going to get KO'd sooner or later. I mean, you're already seeing him. I mean, Babic has never even fought at European level. He's already starting to look a bit jaded in there. Fury makes adjustments. AJ struggles with smaller guys and movers. Was in all sorts of trouble with Povetkin. Yeah. I mean, you look back at Joshua versus Savon in the amateurs. And bear in mind, right, people were saying, yeah, he fought Erislandy Savon in 2012. He improved. Yeah, he did improve since he fought Savon. But here's the thing. Savon has a specific style. He's a mover. And AJ improved since then. But he never fought a mover. Until he fought Usyk. Usyk can too. Dubois is too green to... Why is that not... There we go. Dubois is too green to fight White. Joyce had too much experience for Dubois. Yeah, I remember. If anyone remembers how I was going into that Dubois fight, I originally picked him. It's one of the very few times I've ever retracted a pick because I looked at the whole thing from the outside. I was like, Dubois ain't winning this fight. And I was thinking, what have I done? Dubois ain't winning this fight. Usyk and Chisora weren't 50-50. Nah. $500 million is a tad steep. I propose pub car park for a pony. There you go. Winner takes all. John Fury, Battle Royale. There you go. Usyk dance circles around him. Oh, yeah. Peterbiev versus Smith. Yo, I hope I'm wrong. I get a real sense one or both are going to get real hurt. I reckon it's going to be cagey at the start, but it will catch fire pretty damn quick. That's what I think will happen. That's what I think is going to happen. Cagey at the start, but catch fire like you know what. Yes, he is, unfortunately. Yeah, look, it's not going to be the main, I don't think. I wouldn't imagine it will be anyway. I certainly hope not. I wouldn't say so. It's going to be the main. Well, maybe it would be actually knowing Frank Warren. But look, I like the McCalkin versus Johnson fight. That's going to be fun because McCalkin has always been reasonably durable anyway. And the last two fights I've seen Callum Johnson in, my days, he is looking poor. And Callum Johnson's getting more up there in his age. So, yeah, at least and Zalani Tete versus Jason Cunningham. I mean, if this was the Zalani Tete before he fought Casemiro, I'd pick him, no question. I mean, look at the job he's done on fighters. Look at the job he did on that Russian guy in the World Series of Boxing. It was the World Boxing Super Series. Look at the job he did on Paul Butler. Look at that 30-second, what was it? No, it wasn't even, like 10-second knockout. He fought that Villanuevas guy, and Villanuevas isn't a bad fighter. He's not a world beater, but he's not a terrible fighter, and Zalani Tete done a great job on him. So Tete has always been a good fighter, has decent punching power, but I don't know, the way he fell apart against Casemiro, and he was winning that fight. He won the first 2 rounds, not a bother to him. But, so it's an interesting card. Hammer never been a legit top 10 fighter. No, he's never. He's always been kind of, at his best, you would say probably European level, maybe being a bit generous there. But you really see what, like, you look at the fight where he got knocked out by Marius Vac. And Marius Vac's the only guy to really lay Christian Hammer out. And look at the shape he was in the Hammer fight. Now, I know that was a decade ago, but look at him then compared to now and just how poor a shape he's in. Jesus. One thing we don't talk about much is if Usyk gets his head in the game for AJ rematch at this level, if he's not there, he'll be in trouble. Possibly. I think he will, though. I think he's okay. Big ups to G-Man. Big up to Nate. What's happening with Chris Eubank Jr.? Sky, Eubank Jr., Wasserman, Boxer, everyone involved. I think they were all hoping for the Kell Brook fight. I think they were putting all their stock on him being on Kell Brook. I think that was their plan for the summer. Kell Brook retired, and that kind of blew that up. That blew those plans out there. So right now, is it Yalalov? No, it's not Yalalov. I can't remember the guy's name. Someone wants to leave it in the chat. But that guy is a tough fight. I've seen him fight before. I just can't think of his name. But that's a fight where nobody really knows the opponent. What's the guy's name? Does anyone have it in the chat there? No, I can't remember his name. But if Eubank goes in with him, they won't be able to probably do it on pay-per-view. And it's a really, really tricky fight. So, man, it's Look who it is. Big up to Jamie, man. Man, I have to catch your live back on the replay. I just said I had a free Thursday, so I had to go live. But big up. I could see you were doing good numbers in the live, so I'm delighted for that, man. But big up to you every single time. For sure, I will definitely have to catch yours up on the replay. And of course, anytime. You're welcome to come on, by the way, later on if you're still free. Just to chat for a bit. Big up to Postman Pat for the €5. Enjoy your holiday. Have a cranberry juice on me. I've got cranberry juice. I actually forgot to bring some onto this. But yeah. Who's the fittest bird in boxing, G-Man? My guess would say, I guess most would say Bridges, but for me, Sky Nicholson is a beaut. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. Sky Nicholson would be my pick, definitely. In terms of Bridges, he's all right. But yeah, Sky Nicholson for me. Do you think Joe Joyce can beat a champion? Not beating Fury or Usyk, but I mean, if they vacate it, I mean, I'm sure he can beat. Look, I'd probably pick him over someone like Parker, but we're here. We're waiting to see who he's going to fight next. Yes, big up to RC. Geez, the couple of card matchroom announced recently have been garbage, apart from the Bam Rodriguez card. Yeah, I can't wait for that fight. Bam Rodriguez versus Sorun Vasayas next week. I can't wait for that card, man. That is going to be fun. Man, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, that kid has, like, he is talented as hell. I think he's getting Run Vasai at the right time. Because I remember watching him 2 years ago. Now, don't ask me to pronounce the fighter's name. I know who he is. He's a Thai fighter. Armang something. It's a really long name. I haven't a breeze how to pronounce it. Most people struggle to pronounce it. But he looked terrible in that fight. And that was 2 years ago. I can't imagine he's going to look much better now. When did this boxing game turn strictly into chess? What about the dog in someone accounting for something? When the last time Usyk banged someone out cold? Bellew. That was the last time Usyk really went in and banged someone out cold. When did AJ? Big up G-Man. What do you think Fury's realistic price for Usyk fight? Obviously not 500 mil. I'd say he'd be looking for more than the Dylan White fight. I reckon probably in around the 60, 70 mil region, in around that. He'll probably want to be the A side, and obviously he's the more titles and universally he's the ring champ. He's recognized as number one. I was on about Fury Sugar Magic. Sugar Hills Magic. If Usyk loses to AJ in the rematch, who would you like to see him fight next? I wouldn't be shocked if it's a close fight or a competitive fight if they do a rematch, as in a trilogy. If he loses, I mean, Jesus, there's loads of fights. There's loads of possibilities there. Parker, Hunter rematch, and heavyweight be interesting. There's loads of fights. Usyk could turn out to be the most overrated heavyweight in history. I can't see anything special. Definitely not, man. I think Usyk is tremendously talented. How the hell did Usyk's face get bashed up when AJ barely got hit? Man, Usyk could be one of them guys who marks up, but he took right hands from AJ. They weren't like flush, bang on the chin. If they were bang on the chin, I mean, I swear you would have known all about it. But you getting them shots, you're going to mark up. After what you said there about Huey, and I'm no Huey fan, but how did you score Huey against Parker? I actually thought he won the fight. I didn't think he won it. I very much someone who favors the aggressor. When I'm scoring fights, I always favor that. And with Fury in that fight, I mean, go back and watch it. I remember the seventh round specifically was a round where Fury literally barely threw any punch. He just literally ran around the ring. And I was like, how can I give that round to Huey Fury? Parker was missing, but he was trying to assert himself. He was trying to push the action. So I had Parker winning. I think I had it 116, 112 or 115. I had it close enough for Parker. I don't know how they scored at 118, 110. I mean, they were bizarrely wide. And once I heard them, I think Parker even knew it himself. When he heard the 118, 110 scorecards, you could see his reaction in the fight. He was like, I've lost. And then they gave it to him. Entertaining but limited, exactly. Babbage will always be good value for money. But like him against Rivas, man, he ain't beating Rivas. I'd be amazed if he beat Rivas. I'd be flipping amazed. I couldn't see it. Rivas versus Babbage. Hughie Fury, nice kid, and Peter's a legend, but not all great. Savannah, yeah, I'm taking Savannah every time. 82 in the building, and I've only 36 likes. If you could smash the like button, get your boy up to the 50 like, and if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. I'm dying to get to 8K. I'm dying to get to 10K. I'm like to get to 8K. 7,700, and I think I've got like 7,708 subs in around that. At least AJ is fighting decent opponents. Can't not say that about AJ. You know, for all AJ his flaws, you know, and he has flaws. Everyone has flaws. But AJ has fought some good opponents. You cannot knock him about that. Which fight card are you watching in London? I'm going to the card, the Frank Warren card, the Queensbury card on the 2nd. Look forward to that. I haven't been to a card in 3 years. Usyk to stop AJ late. I give him every chance to beat Fury if they meet elite of the elite. Yeah. That's a spot on. 71 in the building. Only 23 likes. 83 now. Big up to everyone. Now there's a prediction from Jack there. Hrgovic to dominate the heavyweight division in the heavyweight division eventually. I thought we were going to say, I thought it said in the next 3 years. It says eventually. It's a big statement, man. It's a big statement. Yalibek, thank you. That's the guy. Munguia against Eubank, the zone, Sky can't see it, but Yalibek. It'll all wait on to see what Demetrius on. Maybe Demetrius Andre, because he's not with the zone, because the Zach Parker fight's gone, maybe he'll just look at Eubank and just think, you know what, I'll just do 168 again, or 160 again. I'll get a big payday on Sky, pay-per-view, there you go. Read that one. Eubank should fight GGG, but the Canelo fight's, man, the Canelo fight's happening. And I'd still pick GGG over him. G-Man, what's good? What have I missed? Not missed much, man. It's been mainly Fury talk. Bit of Joe Smith versus Beterbiev talk, but mainly Fury talk. Postman Pat, bring back my childhood memories. Oh, yeah. Postman Pat, Ren and Stimpy, shows like that. They were good times. Imagine putting Ren and Stimpy on TV nowadays for kids. They get cancelled instantly. Hrgovic will dominate, yeah. Michaela Myers, no, not for me. Do you see Navarrete? Big up the textbook boxing, by the way. Do you see Navarrete? Some good boxing documentaries there, mate. Do you see Navarrete giving any problems to Shakur here in rumors that the fight happens soon? Yeah, I heard about that, but apparently that's not happening now. Yes, I do see him giving Shakur problems, certainly, but I do genuinely think Shakur gets through that. But that's a hell of a fight to barn burner. Always someone chimes in with that. Big up, man. I do. I know. I need to. He was done at that stage. I suppose the best knockout then after Usyk, Bellew. Now he stopped hook standing. It's not really many of them knockouts he's had where he's had devastating boom bam, you're out there. G-Man, who's your favourite British small guy from the lighter weights? Current or all time? Obviously all time, you gotta say, well, one of my favourites would be Naz, definitely. I mean, of course it would be Naz. But current smaller guys that I like in the UK. Well, I like Dalton Smith. I think he's a good fighter. Dennis McCann is kind of like, I'm kind of like that with Dennis McCann at this stage. You know, it's sort of way, like I like him, but I think he's not improving as much as I thought he would. Oh man, I still need to see Miller press conference versus White or Chisora, man. Big Farmer, Jesus. What do you think of the Ben Shalom clip? Don't go there clip. Yeah, look, mate. I think that Ben Shalom, he would have been. I understand that he doesn't want to talk about this, that, and the other, and I get that, but I genuinely do think he went about that. He'd be better off just saying on camera if Coogan or whoever, Umar said, what about Eddie Hearn? Can't talk about that, moving on. Probably it is easier. It's just easier just to do that. I will subscribe if you straighten the curtains. There you go. Who would win, Babbage or Allen? I'd still go with Babbage now. I think that Dave Allen is just... Yeah, I don't understand why he's still fighting, to be honest with you. It just... He's taken some beatings in his career, man. He has taken some beatings. Usyk and Loma different, often keep gloves high level. They can hit under the eyes and mark them up, and then mark them up. They're very similar, you know. Obviously, Anatoly Lomachenko being in there. Who do you got? Michaela Myers or Bam Gardner? I think Bam Gardner should win, but I think that fight's happening on ESPN, isn't it? Which changes things. But Bam Gardner should. I like Bam Gardner. He's a good fighter. I picked Christian Hammer. I predicted he would be Jojo. I was wondering. I was thinking, Jesus, you picking Hammer to beat Joyce? It would be Joyce, fits the bill. Yeah, perfect tick over. Didn't expect much more. I was kind of thinking, would they put him in there with someone who can maybe bang, like a journeyman who's a bit of pop who would come to fight? But hey, who would you like to see Wilder fighting his comeback? Hellenius would be a good opponent. I think Hellenius would fit. I think that would be. He's on a bit of a roll. Put him in with Hellenius. Because Hellenius is limited. I don't want to see Babbage versus Rivas. WBC can't sanction that. There is levels to this game. But the WBC don't give a you-know-what. I mean, the WBC do not care, mate. They don't care. As long as they're getting their sanction fees, they don't care. They will sanction that fight happily. Oh, man, they were going to do that fight on the undercard of Chisora Valine. And I remember that fight getting backlash instantly. I mean, like, why would you put that fight on? Like, I mean, like, yeah, Lucas Brown has power still. And if you're someone like Junior Fash, you're going to stand in front of him and say, hit me, please. You know, here's my chin. Hit me, daddy-o. Then, yeah, you can knock you out. But, no. Yeah, I've seen that. I think that Sam O'Mason, he's been in there with some guys, been stopped. If he was stopped by... I remember hearing about this at the time, and his name escapes me. Michael Mooney is a journeyman. He's a journeyman on the British scene, I guess you could say. I think, no, did he stop him or did he beat him? And I mean, like, the journeyman beat Sam. I'm not sure, but he definitely lost to him. And Michael Mooney is an out-and-out journeyman. Who would you like to see Reactor fight next? That's a good question. Apparently, he's mandatory now for Briadis. Can't see him going straight into that fight. I would like to see him fight. I'd like to see him fight Guillamari. Is that how you pronounce his name? Why not? Take a stab. Oh, for sure they'll try and do that. Dempsey McKean versus Lucas Brown. I mean, he's earned the day on the zone. I seen that card that they announced. Yeah, man. Babbage versus Canelo. Canelo wants to fight a Bridgerweight, become a sixth Tyson. He wants to fight a Cruiserweight, then Bridgerweight. Who wins? Lennox Clark, Mark Heffron. Great fight. I'm going to go with Lennox Clark to win that fight. Lennox Clark against Lerone Richards was a really, really close fight. And then Lennox Clark knocked out... What's his name? Oh, man, I know the guy. I can't think actually, Willie Hutchinson. Nick Ball will be world champion. Nick Ball, the little guy, he's like a little pit bull. We need Rowley versus Blair Combs at a catch weight. No, mate, I haven't heard anything. If anyone is or does know about Usyk's camp, I mean, a lot of them would really try and keep it secret. Fury versus Babbage for Undisputed. Yeah. Thoughts on Leon Davis. Good win over Mark Leach last weekend. I seen that. I seen some of them. He looked all right. I'll keep an eye on Liam Davis. Some of them guys, when they're just fighting at that level, I still kind of don't say they can go here, they can go there. But he definitely looked all right over Mark Leach. That wasn't a bad show. It was a bit embarrassing with all the empty seats, but the show itself wasn't too shabby. Who's your pound for pound number one for me? It's a new way all day. As I said, I don't really do pound for pound, mate, but if I had to, I'd say at this stage, Usyk. Imagine a night. I'd say Joe Joyce would be a bit more of a laugh on a night out. But Ben Shalom and Daniel Dubois, I mean, I've said it once. Dubois going up to a girl on the night out. Hey. A boxer. The belt. Yeah. I'd say that's the height of it. Gee, man, I know Hurricane is good, and the drummer boy doesn't have a great heart. You're telling me. But I thought a lot of the KO punches were illegal. Molina, by the way, that's Molina he's referring to, by the way. Molina has a way of kind of almost as if he's rolling the head to try and get the shot in like that. Can't remember much about that fight, but I remember Molina having questionable heart in that fight as well. I mean, he really has no heart for it, but I'm surprised he still gets fights. With Joyce versus DD now, Warren is willing to push DD. I think Warren still has the demons of that fight in there. Gotta be the left hook. Gotta be the left hook. Favorite punch. I'm a sucker for a good left hook. There's nothing better than a good left hook to the head or body. Love that shot. I flipping love that shot. And thank you, my friend. Great channel. Yeah, I do try, man. I do try. Who would you like to see Chris Congo face next, and how far can he go? What is the level in your opinion? You know something? When I saw Chris Congo versus Luther Clay, I was really thinking, oh my God, this kid is talented. This kid is really, really talented. But he lost against McKinson. McKinson, calling it here, people. Calling it. McKinson is now facing Ortiz in August. They've rescheduled that fight. We're getting it. I'm telling you now, I'm convinced we're getting it. We're getting Avanesian versus Ben next. I'm convinced there. You know, you had this fight, Ortiz, Avanesian. Now it's not happening, and then McKinson stepping in. It's Avanesian versus Ben next. I'm telling you now. If I'm wrong, so be it. But I genuinely, it just seems to just fit. But in terms of Congo, he's really regressed a bit. I mean, like, he went in there against that Formella guy. Say what you want to say about Conor Benn. Conor Benn did a better job, much better job. And I just think Chris Congo has hit his level. Maybe there's a Euro title in there, maybe. But I'd pick Avanesian every day of the week over Chris Congo. Dubois would be a good bodyguard, though. I mean, you would not go. I mean, you'd be knocked out just walking into him, much less him hitting you. You could make one heavyweight fight by the end of the year. Yeah, I gotta say, I would probably second that, to be honest with you. I still think that's a great fight now. I mean, Wilder, I've always felt Wilder would have bet AJ. I went back and forth a few times, but gotta be AJ, gotta be Wilder. Congo, Marku, yeah, I could see them doing that. They're both with Boxer. The thing is with Marku, you've got such a big name in Albania there. You gotta take advantage of that. I mean, I know it might sound a bit weird, but like, you gotta put a show on in Albania. He could fill up the stadium over there, not a bother. What's the funniest gloves off? Apart from George Groves and Froch, pull handshake. I was gonna say the first one. No. The first one was better. The first Chisora versus White one was better. Who wins in the Woods triple threat match? John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, or Ted Bundy? Well, the three of them all are quite weak. The three of them all don't really have much, which is just something you'll notice about serial killers, especially prolific ones like them. I would say out of the three, well, Gacy's the fattest. Dahmer really didn't have much, nor did Ted Bundy. I'd say probably Ted Bundy was the smartest out of the three of them. The other two really weren't too bright. So I'd probably give the edge to Ted Bundy in that one. Maybe just on brains. John Wayne Gacy be done after about, 2 swings? He'd need to go and grab a KFC. Jeffrey Dahmer, I mean, like, he'd see animals there and he'd be thinking, I want to kill them animals too. Whereas Ted Bundy was just a clean cut, just I'm going to kill you, get end off. If there was a governing body to oversee boxing, who would you like to see on board? Maybe Teddy Atlas. I mean, here's the thing, man, right? No one is not corruptible. No matter how good you get aboard, no matter how good the people are on it, you'll always get someone who's corrupt. Prediction on Jesse Rodriguez versus Rumfasite. Rodriguez, points. Whenever people talk about the best heavyweight, nobody... light heavyweight. I was wondering. I was like, what? Nobody mentions Callum Smith. Wouldn't he be number one as a former world champion and knocked out a man Bivol went the distance with? He did. I think Callum Smith looks better at light heavyweight than he did at 168, but I still think that division, he's going to lose his strength advantage, and I just think that the guys there, I think he'd be competitive against all of them, but I don't see him beating them. Oh, mate, don't put me through that. I don't even know who'd win that fight, mate. Probably Junior Fab, but I don't even want to know. It's a depressing one. Yeah, he's fighting that guy in Australia. July the 7th. I like the hooks up close and personal. Jerry Cooney, Joe Frazier, left hook. Joe Frazier, definitely. Cooney's left hook was brilliant, but Joe Frazier. Tommy Morrison's left hook. And you can see the way even the way the point of his feet are when he throws that. It's just such a clean, it's perfect left hook. It's just so natural. And that punch just is so natural to Tommy Morrison when he threw it. Like, look at Razor Ruddock, the left hook he hit him with. And just, he was hurt and just literally sits up, boom, left hook. And that's you want to talk about Tyson Fury looking dead against Wilder in the first fight and getting up. That right there, Razor Ruddock getting dropped by Tommy Morrison. He was up at the count. He protested the stoppage. He was dead the way he fell down. That's a decent matchup. See the double left hook from Usyk AJ. Not that I remember. The best double left hook I've seen recently was, and in the last few years, was Povetkin when he knocked out Duopis. That was a double left hook. He led with a right and then went boom, boom, knocked him out cold. Yeah, I seen it. That was a good shot. Who you got, G-Man, if it happens towards the end of the year? I've criticised Conor Benn plenty, but I give him a good shot in this fight. I criticised not the matchmaking, but I criticised the way that they marketed the matchmaking. You can't tell me, right, that Avanesian brings nothing to the table, and you're fighting Chris Van der Heer, or however you pronounce his name, a guy who's been washed for years. You fought Chris Algieri, but you're telling me they bring more to the table than Avanesian. Get the you-know-what out of here. That's one thing that pisses me off when I hear that, because it's almost like Eddie Hearn is trying to insult our intelligence by saying, yeah, they bring more to the table. It's like, we understand boxing. It's like, we know they're wheel them out on a wheelchair. That's what they are. They're not going to cause many issues. At least Avanesian will. But I give Ben a shot in that fight. I'll have to think long and hard about it. It's a cracking fight. Depends where it is. Yeah, we could go live. I'd definitely consider going to it live. Ben definitely needs to step up. Needs to add that KO to BoxRec. Definitely. I feel like we'll get Ben Avanesian. I definitely think that. We need to stop bigging up Lerone Richards this side of the pond so much. That boy is crazy special. I think, we need to big up. I thought you said we need to stop. I was like, no one really is bigging him up. He schools Berlanga. Man, he schools him. Berlanga got a 6-month ban, by the way, for the biting incident. Berlanga is an absolute hype job, man. And he will be, not next time, but eventually on my hype job series, which we will do this month, he will eventually be on that. Any suggestions for hype jobs to feature on the series? I obviously have 2 names in mind. One American, one British. And I need a third and a fourth. I'll do a longer one this time. Yep, seen that. I've seen that as well. Zach Chelly versus Clark Heffron makes sense, but different promoters. Well, Chelly has worked with Fish Eyes before, so we want to see, would he be willing to work with him again? But Chelly is coming into his own now. Oh, yeah. That's a great fight. And again, I thought Gongora would beat Richards, and he proved me wrong. Yeah, Bundy wins. Yeah, Bundy probably does win. He was an absolute snake out of all them. When you look at most serial killers, they don't look like much. Or most killers in general don't look like much. It's very rare you see someone where you look at and you think he's intimidating. You know, that sort of way from that point of view. Most of them have that glib, that superficial glib. You can see, like Ted Bundy, look at his eyes. I mean, that guy is just... he has some of the most warped eyes you'll ever see. Like, Ted Bundy is right up there with one of the... You only have to look at the guy's eyes and you can tell this guy... Richard Ramirez as well. his eyes are probably almost worse. I mean, he does look possessed. That guy, he's dead now, but he looked possessed. The Night Stalker. That's going to be a great fight. That's co-main. I can't wait for that. Is boxing lacking characters? You don't see as many All Access as good as Floyd Mayweather. I don't think it. Yes, you're correct. It is, but we live in a society, unfortunately, where you can't be a character. You're not going to get a Ricardo Mayorga nowadays, unfortunately, and it's a shame. You need it, and not just boxing. You need it in any sport. You need characters. They're lifeblood. They make people will know about sport based on the character. Lerone Richards Brider makes perfect sense. What's going on with Zach? I don't know, mate. Your guess is as good as mine. He's with Warren now. He's been all over the place. He was with Sauron originally, then he fought a Matchroom show, and now he's with Warren. Oh, Jesus. The battle of the battle of the bouncers. I know it can't be done, but I think that Sugar Hill or Peter Fury would be brilliant for AJ, but neither of them is going to happen. Especially Peter Fury. What happened, Regis Prograis? He ran Taylor so close, but nothing much. Decent fight, brilliant fighter was Regis Prograis. And that's a good question. He recently fought on the Probellum. I think he is actually signed with Probellum. And he recently fought on the Probellum card in March, but he's done very little since then. He's done very little at all since the Taylor loss, to be honest with you. Currently, Paddy Donovan. I think Paddy Donovan is tremendous. Very few. I hope there's no. I don't think so. Not yet, anyway. Oh yeah, he would. Berlanga, I don't even think his chin's particularly good. So I know Richards isn't a puncher, but if he's accurate enough, he might even get a stoppage. Where are we at? I'm after losing the chat there. That Ed Kemper was an absolute beast, Jesus. And Ed Gein is another guy. Oh, wouldn't be trusted around them, being honest. Yeah, Ed Kemper was 6'8", 6'9", still alive. Big Ed. And Ed Kemper is a situation of just how the not was going to say society, but how the law failed him in many ways. I mean, he hated his mother, and he killed his grandparents. That's why he ended up in jail, and they expunged his record when he was 18 for murder. And I remember it was a psychologist who said, under no circumstances, when you let him out of prison, should he be anywhere near his mother. What did the law do? Set him to live with his mother. Of course. And Ed Gein, I mean, Leatherface. Ed Gein is just bizarre. Like, his whole story is just bizarre. And I'm convinced, if you ever watched The Waterboy with Adam Sandler, right, I'm convinced they modeled the mother-son relationship between Adam Sandler's character and I can't remember the girl who plays his mom. I know who she is, but I can't remember her name. I'm convinced they modeled the two of them after Ed Gein and his mother relationship, because if you ever look at Ed Gein, it's exactly the same. Guys like Seth Mitchell. Yeah, Seth Mitchell was bad, man. He had no chin. Harold Shipman. Yeah, man. There's a lot of them out there. It'll take a good bit of coming back from. But of course he can. Was Marcellus ever really hyped? Was he? See, like, that's the thing. Like, I mean, like, I'd love to do when I do those hype job videos, I look at someone like Marcellus Wilder and I just think, I could put you in there, but like, was anyone ever really hyping the kid? You know, and that's something that I'm kind of like, was he ever really hyped, or was it just, the fact that he was named after Wilder? Because I don't remember anyone really coming out and saying, Marcellus Wilder, you got to watch this kid. So, I don't know. Butte is a good example. Although Butte, to be fair, like, he did, against James DeGale, he done a good job. He went to... Butte wasn't as bad. Like, Butte wasn't a case of that every time he stepped up and he got blown out, other than the Frosh loss. I think he lost to Alvarez, a later Alvarez as well. That was a bad one. Carl Panzamra was the scariest of those killers. Unreal strength and truly brutal. I mean, there's been so many, man. I mean, like, there's so many out there who are just absolute freaks of nature. I mean, like, it goes without saying. Gets hyped from Top Rank, but most fans are not high on him at all. No. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, I don't understand the selling point. I mean, I understood the KO streak. Once that ended and you saw what he's like, I don't understand why they're still selling him so much. No. Do you think more bigger fighters would happen if boxers went back? Oh, I read that wrong. Well, yeah. I mean, there'd be no real way to go from here to there to here. You'd be kind of stuck in said division. People, we're going for a little over an hour. So I'm going to go for another few minutes and then I'm going to call it quits. We're 74 in the building. If you could, smash the like button. And if any of you 74 are new, please hit the old subscribe button. We'll try and get this up to the old 8K. That's the goal. Jose Vargas, yeah, getting slapped in a round by Zepeda. Big up the big boys as well, by the way. Henry LeBron was pretty good as well. Some good shouts there. There's some good shouts. That's actually a good shout, by the way, for a good KO. The early didn't help his development. Yeah, well, no, of course not, because he's fighting these no-hopers. And again, look, you got to look at the level of opposition. I mean, they were garbage. But getting first-round knockout after first-round knockout, it was never going to help. It was never going to pay dividends in the long run. Xander Zayas, he is brilliant. He is very good. And hit the like button there, lads. Come on. Yeah, Crawford did make a statement today about it, but I haven't read the whole thing throughout. So I'll have to wait and see on that. In terms of everything else, I think, peeps, I'm going to call it there. Because I've got some other stuff to do. I've got another video to make to go out tonight. So I hope you enjoy that. So I'm going to get recording. It's going to take me a while to get it uploaded. And obviously I'll get another one out tomorrow at some stage. So people, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed the video, or the stream, I should say. As I said, leave it up on the replay if anyone wants. And yes, I have seen Justice Huni. Looks all right. And people, I'm going to call it quits now. Hope you all enjoyed the live. Smash the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. For now, peeps, I'll see you in a wee bit.